I walked into my home after 3 days away, and the first thing I heard was laughter. Loud laughter. Carefree. Celebratory. But the first thing I saw was my wife on the stairs crying so hard she couldn't even lift her head. And in that moment, before anyone noticed me, I understood one thing clearly. Something terrible happened in this house while I was gone. My name is Edward Lawson. I'm 62 years old, and I live just outside Boulder, Colorado. A quiet place. A peaceful place. Or at least that's what it used to be. I wasn't supposed to come home this early. A conference ended sooner than planned. I was tired, but happy to return. What I walked into, I'll never forget. My suitcase slipped from my hand the second I saw her. My wife, Linda, sat on the staircase with her face buried in her palms. Her whole body shook with each breath. These weren't soft tears. These were the kind of sobs that come from a place of deep hurt. "Linda?" I whispered. Her head snapped up. Her eyes were red, swollen, drenched in tears. She tried to speak, but her lips trembled so violently that no words came out. Then I heard it again. Laughter. Coming from the living room. I turned my head slowly, and what I saw made my stomach twist. My son. My only son, Adam, sitting in my living room with his wife Claire, and her parents. Feet on my table. Food everywhere. Drinks in their hands. Celebrating. Laughing. Joking. While my wife cried alone on the staircase just a few feet away. It was surreal. Unnatural. Like two different worlds existing in the same house. Linda tugged my sleeve gently. "Please, don't say anything yet," she whispered. Her voice was so small, so fragile, so scared. I had never heard her sound like that. I stepped into the living room. The laughter stopped. Not out of guilt. Not out of surprise. Out of annoyance. Adam looked at me like I'd interrupted their fun. "Dad," he said flatly, "you're back." Back. From my own home. His wife's parents barely glanced at me. Her father nodded once, a cold, dismissive gesture. Her mother clutched her wine glass tighter, annoyed that I existed at all. Claire forced a smile. Thin. Fake. "Oh. We didn't know you'd be home already." I looked around. Pizza boxes. Empty bottles. Shoes thrown everywhere. My living room looked like it belonged to them. Not me. Not us. Not Linda. I asked the only question that mattered. "Why is your mother crying?" Adam shrugged without even thinking. "I don't know. She gets emotional." Emotional. The word hit me like a slap. Linda flinched behind me. I took a step forward. My voice low, controlled. What happened while I was gone? Before Adam could answer, Claire's father leaned back smugly and said, "Oh, relax. Women cry. It's normal. No big deal." My jaw tightened. Linda's shoulders collapsed further. This wasn't normal crying. This wasn't something small. This was deeper. Much deeper. I turned to Linda again. Her eyes looked away. Not because she wanted to hide something, but because she was afraid to tell me. That fear told me everything. Adam stood up suddenly, defensive. "Dad, seriously. Don't start. We're just hanging out." Hanging out. While my wife was destroyed inside. I looked at him carefully. Something about him felt off. His expression was cold. Hard. Dismissive. Like he didn't care about anything except the people sitting on my couch. People who were enjoying themselves while ignoring my wife's tears. Something shifted in me at that moment. A line. A boundary. A realization. This wasn't just disrespect. This wasn't just carelessness. This was intentional. I walked slowly around the room. No one spoke. No one apologized. No one explained. They watched me like strangers watching a stranger. And then Adam said something that made everything inside me snap. "Dad, can you not make a scene? We're trying to relax. make a scene. I closed my eyes. Linda was still crying silently behind me. I looked at her, really looked, and saw something devastating. She wasn't just sad. She wasn't just overwhelmed. She felt betrayed. Alone. Small. Powerless. And she didn't want to tell me what happened because she knew it would explode everything. I sat down slowly. Everyone watched me in uncomfortable silence. My voice was calm when I finally spoke. Linda, whatever happened, you can tell me. Her lip quivered. She opened her mouth. But then, before a single word escaped, Claire's mother said sharply, honestly, she should just let it go. We already talked about it. Linda froze. Completely. And that single reaction, that tiny, helpless pause, confirmed the truth. They did something. They hurt her. All of them. Including my son. Laughter in the room earlier? It wasn't happiness. It was arrogance. Because they thought Linda wouldn't tell me. Because they thought I wouldn't come home early. Because they thought she'd stay quiet and cry alone. But not today. Not this time. Because now I was home. And I was going to find out exactly what they did. The living room fell silent. But silence doesn't always calm a house. Sometimes it makes the truth clearer, louder, heavier. Linda wiped her eyes with trembling hands. She looked like someone who had been holding back a storm. My son avoided eye contact. His wife stared at her phone. Her parents sat back like they owned the place. I'd been gone for 3 days. 3 days. And somehow, in that time, my home had become this. I leaned forward. Linda, I said softly. What happened? She shook her head quickly. Too quickly. I can't, she whispered. Her voice cracked again. Not from sadness, but from fear. Fear of them. Fear of what would happen if she spoke. Adam suddenly cut in. Dad, she's overreacting. Just drop it. I turned my head slowly. Overreacting? My words were sharp enough to cut the air. He swallowed. His mother-in-law scoffed. Oh, please, she said. She got upset because we used the guest rooms. It's not a crime. The guest rooms. My eyes narrowed. I looked at Linda. Her lips trembled again. That's not all, she whispered. I knew it. I could feel it in her voice. There was more. Much more. I stood up and walked toward the hallway. Linda followed me instinctively, wiping her tears. Her voice was barely audible. They moved things. Moved what? I asked. She looked toward the guest wing. Her fear deepened. Your father's things, she whispered. I froze. My father passed away 5 years ago. His belongings were in a carefully organized room, photo albums, tools, old books, his jacket, his medals. Linda and I treated it like a place of memory, respect, not something you treat like a storage closet. I walked toward the door. Linda reached out desperately, grabbing my arm. Edward, please, don't go in there yet. Why not? I asked. Her lips tightened. Tea. Changed everything. My heart thudded painfully. I opened the door anyway. And what I saw made my stomach drop. My father's room, the quiet, respectful memorial we kept for him, was completely emptied. Shelves cleared, boxes stacked, jacket gone, tools gone, albums missing. Even his old rocking chair was pushed against the wall like garbage, and in the center of the room, suitcases. Not ours. Not Linda's. They were Claire's parents' suitcases. Her father's coat on the chair, her mother's purse on the dresser, makeup bag open, shoes thrown on the floor. They had taken over the room, my father's room, like it meant nothing. Linda stood in the doorway, shaking. I told them we don't use this room, she whispered. It was your dad's. I said they could use the guest rooms. They refused. They said this room had more space. Her voice broke. They pushed his things into boxes. I tried to stop them. They didn't listen. My blood ran cold. And Adam? I asked quietly. She hesitated, then whispered, "He helped them." Something in me cracked. My son helped strangers shove my father's memories into boxes while his mother cried. I clenched my fists. "Where are the boxes?" I asked. Linda pointed toward the hallway closet. I opened it, and there it was. Everything. Every memory. Every piece of my father's life stuffed into cardboard boxes like junk. His medals tossed in a corner. Photo albums crushed. His jacket wrinkled under bags. It felt like a punch to my chest. I closed my eyes, trying to control the shaking in my hands. This wasn't disrespect. This wasn't ignorance. This was entitlement, violation, abuse. And my son let it happen. I turned back toward Linda. What else did they do? Her throat tightened again. "Please. Not here. They can hear us." She looked terrified of them, hearing us speak the truth. We stepped into the kitchen quietly. She finally exhaled a shaking breath. "They didn't just move into the house," she said. "They took over." "Meaning?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "They acted like it was their home. They invited friends, used the master shower, rearranged the living room, ate everything in the fridge, ordered things on your Amazon account." I felt my jaw tighten. Linda continued. "And when I asked them to slow down, they said," her voice cracked, tears welled up again. "They said I should be grateful they're bringing life into the house." I felt something inside me snap. "What about Adam?" I asked. The pain that hit her face said everything. "He sided with them," she whispered. "Every time. Every single time." She wiped her eyes again. "When I told him I didn't want them touching your father's things, he yelled at me. He said I was being dramatic, that they're family now, and I should accept it." Her breath hitched. "And when I cried, they laughed." I froze. "Who laughed?" Before I could speak, I heard footsteps behind us. Adam. He walked into the kitchen with a cold expression. "What are you telling him?" he snapped. Linda stepped back instantly, fear rushing into her eyes. I stepped between them. "I'm talking to her," I said firmly. "You can wait," he scoffed. "Dad, seriously, don't make this a big deal." I stared at him. "You let them box up your grandfather's belongings." He rolled his eyes. "They needed space." I didn't think it mattered. Didn't matter. My father raised him, held him as a baby, built him toys with those tools, taught him how to ride a bike. And Adam said, it didn't matter. I felt a deep disappointment I'd never felt before. But then his next sentence made everything much worse. "They're staying here for a while, okay? It's not a big deal." My voice lowered to a cold whisper. "For how long?" He shrugged. "I don't know. A week. Maybe more." I felt Linda flinch behind me. Adam added, "And Dad? Mom was out of line earlier, so don't defend her. She overreacted as usual." I turned slowly. What did she overreact to? He hesitated. Too long. Then looked away. "I don't want to get into it." I stepped closer. "Get into it." His face tightened. He opened his mouth. But his father-in-law suddenly appeared in the doorway and said, "Your wife insulted us. That's what." Linda gasped. "I did not." "Oh, please," he said sharply. "You told us this wasn't our home, that we should respect your space. How is that acceptable?" "It isn't your home," I snapped. Claire's mother appeared behind him with a smug smile. "Well, your son invited us, so we assumed we were welcome." My chest tightened. They didn't feel like guests. They felt like intruders. Comfortable intruders. "And my son let all of this happen," Linda whispered behind me. "I tried to call you, but Adam stopped me." I turned. What? She nodded, crying again. He took my phone. He said you'd worry and make a scene. He said I needed to calm down first. I froze. He took her phone. He silenced her. He left her alone with people who disrespected her. At that moment, something in me hardened completely. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't a family argument. This was abuse. Emotional, psychological, power play. And my son, my own son, had become part of it. I looked at Linda, then at the people standing in my kitchen, and I knew one thing clearly. This house was no longer mine. And Act 2 was over, because Act 3 would change everything. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the people who had turned my home into something unrecognizable. Adam folded his arms. His in-laws glared at me like I was the problem. And Linda, she stood behind me, shaking like a leaf. I took a slow breath. "Everyone sit down," I said. No one moved. So I raised my voice calm, but unmistakably firm. "Sit down." This time, they listened. Adam leaned back in the chair, irritated. His wife mouthed something under her breath. Her parents exchanged smug looks, as if they still had the upper hand. I looked straight at Adam. "You let them box up your grandfather's things." He rolled his eyes. "Dad, not this again. You let them make your mother cry." He stiffened. His father-in-law laughed. Actually laughed. "That woman cries over anything," he said. "Honestly, she should toughen up." Linda's breath caught. Her eyes filled again. That was it. I leaned forward. "No," I said. "She cries when she's bullied in her own home." Silence. Dead silence. I turned to the in-laws. "You came into my house, used my rooms, destroyed my father's belongings, and belittled my wife." Claire's mother scoffed. "Oh, please. You're overreacting." I slammed my hand on the table. Hard. Everyone jumped. "Enough." I pointed at the hallway. "You have 10 minutes to pack your things and get out." Her eyes widened. "What? You can't be serious. This is not a negotiation." Adam stood abruptly. "Dad, you can't kick them out." I stepped close. "I already did." He clenched his jaw, face red. "You're choosing her over me? Over my family?" I looked at him for a long, painful moment. "No," I said quietly. "I'm choosing what's right." Linda broke into tears again, but this time not from fear, from relief. Adam's in-laws stormed off to pack. Claire followed, hissing insults under her breath. Adam stayed frozen, trembling with anger. And something else. Shame. The house felt different once they left. Quieter. Lighter. Like the walls could breathe again. Linda stood beside me in the hallway, wiping her tears gently. For the first time since I'd returned, her shoulders weren't trembling. Her eyes weren't full of fear. She looked free. I placed a hand on hers. She squeezed back a small, fragile gesture, but enough to tell me she finally felt safe. Adam walked back into the living room slowly. His anger had drained out of him. His face looked pale, conflicted. He didn't yell this time. He didn't defend anyone. He just stood there, staring at the floor. Not from rage, but from the weight of what he had allowed. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Some mistakes need silence to be understood. Linda walked past him gently, her voice soft but firm. "We needed you," she said. "And you weren't here." Adam's eyes filled. He nodded slowly, broken by his own choices. I walked to the front door, closed it, and locked it. For the first time in days, it felt like my home again. And as I looked back at my wife, at the fragile peace returning to her face, I knew one thing clearly. Some battles break families, but this one saved ours.